János Sentiványi. In August 1944, a Hungarian labor camp in occupied Poland was dealing with a typhus outbreak, and the SS guards were terrified of catching the disease that had already killed dozens of prisoners. The commandant ordered that any bodies be removed immediately and buried outside the perimeter, and nobody wanted the job of handling potentially infected corpses. János Sentiványi, a 26-year-old Hungarian prisoner of war captured on the Eastern Front, saw an opportunity in that fear. Working with camp resistance members and at least one sympathetic guard, János helped arrange a plan requiring absolute nerve. They prepared a wooden coffin marked with typhus warnings, and inside lay János himself, breathing through small air holes drilled in the wood and hidden under what was either a real corpse or a dummy positioned on top of him. He stayed completely motionless while the coffin was nailed shut, loaded onto a cart, and wheeled toward the main gate. The funeral party consisted of 4 prisoners and 1 guard, all moving with the slow pace of genuine mourners. When they reached the checkpoint, the SS sentry saw the disease warnings and immediately waved them through without inspection. They continued down the road toward the burial area, hearts pounding, until they were finally out of sight of the watchtowers. Only then did they stop and pry open the lid. János climbed out, gasping but alive, standing on free soil for the first time in months. Polish underground resistance members took over from there, moving him through safe houses and forest hideouts until he disappeared into the broader network. János survived the war and later explained that he escaped not by tunneling or stealing a uniform, but by riding to freedom in what everyone believed was his own coffin. Kazimierz Piechowski. On June 20th, 1942, 4 prisoners at Auschwitz were pushing a garbage cart across the yard, and to the SS guards it looked like routine work detail. The men were Kazimierz Piechowski, a 22-year-old former Polish Boy Scout, Eugeniusz Bandera, a mechanic, Stanisław Jaster, and Józef Lempart. They had spent months studying guard routines and mapping security blind spots. Piechowski had discovered that a coal bunker near the SS building connected underground to the main warehouse where uniforms and weapons were stored. He had loosened a bolt on the hatch so it wouldn't lock. Once their cart cleared the gate, 3 men slipped through the hatch while Bandera walked to the motor pool. Inside the warehouse, they found racks of SS uniforms, MP-40 submachine guns, and grenades. They dressed as SS officers, armed themselves, and walked out looking like high-ranking officials. Bandera had chosen the commandant's personal Steyr 220 staff car. All 4 climbed in wearing stolen uniforms, trying to stay calm despite their pounding hearts. They drove toward the outer gate, passing real SS guards and offering crisp salutes that were returned without suspicion. At the final barrier, the gate didn't open immediately. Piechowski leaned out and shouted at the guards in German, demanding they open immediately or face consequences. The terrified guards snapped to attention and raised the barrier. The car rolled out of Auschwitz onto the open road. They drove 60 kilometers to Makov Podolansky, abandoned the vehicle, and disappeared into the countryside. Hidden in Piechowski's uniform were intelligence reports written by Witold Pilecki documenting Auschwitz atrocities. Those reports reached the Polish Home Army and Allied Command, providing some of the first detailed evidence of what was happening inside. Mikhail Devyatayev. In February 1945, Soviet pilot Mikhail Devyatayev was imprisoned at a camp on Ustum Island near Peenemünde, where Germans tested V-2 rockets. Shot down in July 1944, Devyatayev had been transferred through several camps before ending up here, where prisoners maintained aircraft under armed guard. The work was brutal, but Devyatayev had thousands of flying hours and understood aircraft systems intimately. For months, he watched the airfield routines, noting which planes stayed fueled, when guards changed shifts, and where security gaps existed. He recruited 9 trusted Soviet prisoners, and they planned something insane: steal a German bomber and fly it home. They chose a Heinkel He-111 sitting fueled on the tarmac. Devyatayev had never flown one, but felt confident he could figure it out. On February 8, 1945, during the midday shift change, they made their move. They overpowered a guard, sprinted to the Heinkel, while shouts erupted behind them, and scrambled aboard. Devyatayev threw himself into the pilot's seat and worked the unfamiliar controls while bullets pinged off the fuselage. The engines roared to life. He released the brakes and the bomber lurched forward as machine gun fire chased them. The Heinkel lifted off, barely clearing the fence, and Devyatayev banked hard east at treetop level. They flew over an hour across enemy territory, navigating by sun and landmarks, until they crossed Soviet lines. He landed roughly in a snow-covered field. all 10 climbed out alive. After extensive interrogation to verify they weren't spies, Devyatayev was awarded Hero of the Soviet Union. He had stolen an enemy bomber, flown 300 kilometers through hostile territory, and brought back intelligence on German secret weapons. Jimmy James. On March 24, 1944, RAF Flight Lieutenant Bertram Jimmy James crawled through Tunnel Harry beneath Stalag Luftwaffe's fences. He was one of 76 men in the Great Escape. Like most, Jimmy was recaptured within 48 hours during a massive manhunt, but being caught was just another chapter in a war he refused to stop fighting. As punishment, Jimmy was sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp near Berlin, which made Stalag Luftwaffe look comfortable. Sachsenhausen housed political prisoners, and conditions were deliberately brutal with inadequate food, forced labor, and constant beatings. The camp had electric fences, concrete walls, and machine gun towers. Escape seemed impossible. Jimmy spent weeks studying the layout, watching guard patterns, and contacting other prisoners with fight left in them, including great escape survivors Johnny Dodge and Sidney Dowse. By September 1944, they identified a weakness and started digging another tunnel using spoons, metal scraps, and bare hands. Work was agonizingly slow, only minutes per day when guards were distracted and every grain of soil had to be hidden. On September 23, 1944, Jimmy and 3 others broke through and emerged beyond the fence. They scattered using forged papers, but Jimmy was recaptured 80 kilometers away at a railway station. The beating was severe enough to hospitalize him. He was thrown in solitary confinement, barely able to lie down, fed starvation rations, and interrogated repeatedly. He survived by counting bricks and remembering childhood streets. When the war ended in May 1945, Soviet forces liberated him. He later testified at war crimes trials and spent decades speaking about never giving up hope. Jimmy became a symbol of unbreakable spirit, the man who escaped from 3 of Nazi Germany's toughest prisons because accepting captivity wasn't in his nature. Witold Pilecki. On September 19, 1940, Captain Witold Pilecki deliberately walked into a Nazi roundup in Warsaw. While everyone else fled, he moved with the crowd and let himself be arrested and sent to Auschwitz, becoming prisoner 4859. His mission? Infiltrate the camp, build a resistance network, and document Nazi crimes. Inside, Pilecki became another starving prisoner, enduring roll calls, beatings, and starvation rations. But beneath the surface, he wove together an extensive resistance network across the camp. He identified trustworthy prisoners, organized them into groups of 5, and assigned tasks: gathering intelligence, smuggling food and medicine, maintaining contact with the outside through coded messages hidden in laundry bundles. For 2 years and 7 months, Pilecki documented everything: mass executions, medical experiments, gas chamber construction. His reports were smuggled out through civilian workers, reaching the Polish Home Army and Allied governments in London, providing some of the first detailed eyewitness accounts of Auschwitz. He included death tolls, guard names, camp sketches, and murder estimates, hoping to convince allies to attack and liberate the camp. By early 1943, Pilecki realized his presence was more dangerous than useful because network members were being discovered and executed. On April 26 to 27, 1943, while working night shift at a bakery outside the perimeter, he and 2 companions overpowered a guard, cut phone wires, and ran into darkness. They traveled days on foot, hiding in barns and forests, until reaching Warsaw. Pilecki urged his superiors to assault Auschwitz, arguing coordination between bombers, partisans, and prisoner uprising could liberate it. They rejected the plan as too risky. He continued fighting, joined the 1944 Warsaw Uprising, survived the war, then was arrested and executed by Soviet-controlled communists in 1948. His story remained buried for decades behind the Iron Curtain. Alexander Pechersky. On October 14, 1943 at 4:00 p.m., prisoner 69563 checked his hidden watch and nodded to his secret committee. His name was Alexander Sasha Pechersky, a 34-year-old Jewish Red Army lieutenant captured on the Eastern Front and sent to Sobibor in late September. Unlike most arrivals murdered immediately in gas chambers, he and 80 Soviet POWs were selected for work detail because the commandant needed strong laborers. Sobibor existed to murder as many people as possible. By Pechersky's arrival, 250,000 had been killed there. The camp was small, isolated, surrounded by forest and minefields, guarded by 30 SS officers and Ukrainian auxiliaries. Pechersky contacted Leon Feldhendler, a Polish Jewish prisoner organizing resistance but lacking military experience. Together, they formed a secret committee of 70 trusted prisoners. Their plan required precision: systematically eliminate SS command in one afternoon by luring officers individually into workshops with promises of new boots or uniforms, then killing them quietly with axes, knives, and hammers. At 3:30 p.m., Deputy Commandant Johann Niemann entered the tailor shop for a uniform fitting and was struck down with an axe. In other workshops, more officers were called to inspect furniture or boots and met the same fate. Within an hour, 11 SS officers and several guards were dead, their weapons taken. Then the alarm raised early. Pechersky realized there was no time for organized evacuation and shouted for everyone to run. 600 prisoners surged toward the perimeter from multiple directions. Watchtowers opened fire, cutting down dozens climbing the wire. About 300 made it into the forest. Over following months, many were hunted down, betrayed, or died from exposure. Only about 50 survived the war, but the uprising achieved something irreversible. Terrified German commanders immediately shut down Sobibor, demolished it, planted trees, and tried erasing all evidence. Pechersky survived by joining partisans and later testified at trials. When asked how he found courage to revolt in a place designed to crush hope, he said he'd watched too many walk into gas chambers without fighting and decided dying while fighting was better than dying without trying.